I gotta ask everybody a question before we get into anything. How do y'all feel about JD Vance, personally? I, honestly, don't really feel too great about the guy for a lot of reasons. I feel like anybody who Trump would pick to be a VP would automatically turn me off. But in his case, he's got some very interesting proclivities, let's say, that we'll go ahead and get into. But first, let's get into the fan art section. This one is from Azurkat. Said, Suris when he goes a day without saying war words. I lost a better version into PC repair. That is unfortunate. Also, let me figure out what Growlithe is barking about. The next piece of fan art we have here is from Blue, and it is me in a rolling chair going and having speed. Because, of course, that's just what happens when I go to a political event, apparently. I get in a rolling chair and I zoom around everywhere. I'm a very serious person, entirely serious. Let's be 100% honest with ourselves. Skeletal says I'm going to head to bed. Good night. See you, Skeletal. Get some sleep. As always, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, we got a compilation of some stuff that JD Vance has said recently or been filmed doing, or just all kinds of fun stuff. We're gonna evaluate JD Vance just a little bit and see where we are at. But let's start with this one. It says, what a weirdo. JD Vance was asked today numerous times if he regrets his childless cat lady comment. So we'll go over this one. But for those who don't know, JD Vance tried to say that Kamala Harris was a childless cat lady, and so he had no respect for her when Kamala Harris has kids. They are stepkids, but that is still children. They are still children that she has been actively involved in the lives of. It's very, very strange. It's very weird to be somebody who was politically involved to resort to that kind of mudslinging attack. And not attack somebody on their policies, not attack somebody on the actual things that they do, but no, you attack them for being a parent. That's the thing that you attack her on, for being a parent of all things. Which is just stupid. Like, you attack her for being the wrong kind of parent, the parent that you personally have less respect for, which is just mind-bogglingly stupid. But let's go ahead and get into this bit here, where this conversation actually took place.
You're calling it a sarcastic comment.
Sure.
Let's go ahead and increase the volume on that, because it's not very loud. There we go.
You're calling it a sarcastic comment.
Sure.
And yet, some women, and you got the feedback in real time, felt like it was a gut punch to them personally.
Yeah, if you're a woman voter, the fact that you didn't specifically bear kids is enough for JD Vance to not like you. He's already gone on record to say that he thinks that you should have fewer votes.
Do you regret making that comment?
Look, I regret certainly that a lot of people took it the wrong way, and I certainly regret...
Oh, fucking God. So JD Vance here, instead of, I said something, I said something that was wrong, and I hurt a lot of people, and I'm sorry for hurting people. No, he goes, I'm sorry that you were offended. This is not a Chad take. This is the take of somebody who doesn't give a flying fuck about your emotions, your feelings, anything. This is the kind of thing that you do not want in somebody who is running your country. If you tell somebody, hey, your actions personally hurt me. Your actions personally had a negative effect on me. The last thing you want that person to do is go, I'm sorry you were offended. Like, that's not an apology. That's a weasel apology.
The DNC and Kamala Harris lied about it.
But do you regret what you said, Senator?
Look, Kristen, I'm going to say things from time to time that people disagree with. I'm a real person. I'm going to make jokes. I'm going to say things sarcastically.
But again, just very quickly, given that people have told you directly, have spoken out, have said that they were offended, they were hurt by those comments, do you wish you never made those childless cat lady comments?
I think that it's much more important for me to just be a normal human being who sometimes says things that people disagree with.
Yeah, so no regrets. No regrets at all. Like, he doesn't regret saying the thing. There was an era of politicians once upon a time where if they said something terrible like this, then there would be conversations about their conduct, right? And those conversations would lead to the person having to apologize for their misconduct towards their peers, towards, in this case, their boss. Like, that's what would happen there. We are past that stage. We are now in the stage of politicians who simply do not give a shit. Which there are some cases where that's entirely warranted. When somebody is being a fascist and needs to be kept under lock and key, then sure, maybe it's time to go ahead and talk about their fascism. But when somebody is a parent of a child, but that child is not their biological kid, that's not enough of a reason to call somebody a childless cat lady. The cat lady stereotype is a single woman with no children that just has cats. Kamala Harris is a married woman with multiple stepchildren. JD Vance is a fucking idiot. The problem, though, the reason he doesn't disavow those statements, the reason that he is perfectly comfortable with those statements is because he knows that his base, he knows that the people who care about his campaign do not care about those comments. He knows that the people that he is trying to gain the vote of, are the people who generally are more okay with that kind of flippant language. Not because they are edgelords, but because they are cruel. He is actively trying to court a vote of cruel people. Ninjas, thank you very much for subscribing. I appreciate it. Axo says, Bug does have cats, and can I see them? I like the kid. Does she have cats, and can I see them? Jesus. Van Brigg says, do we honestly believe that when they make apologies, they actually meant it back then? No. I don't believe that they actually meant those apologies, but giving those apologies does something very important. For the people who are plugged into politics, for the people who are watching these people 24/7, it does at the very least give you an idea of what is considered acceptable language, what is considered acceptable to say about your peers, about the people around you, the people you work with, the people in many cases you work for. It tells you an idea of what kind of decorum our political sphere is supposed to have. JD Vance doesn't give a shit about that. He cares about being cruel. He cares about being an asshole. He cares about being flippant. He doesn't care about being calculated. He cares about gaining the vote of people who have the social ability and tact of a burnt matchstick. That's what he wants.
I have a lot of regrets, Kristen, but making a joke 3 years ago was not in the top 10 of the list.
Then you're calling it.
Okay, so making that joke may not be in the top 10 of your regrets, but do you regret it? Like, he's just trying to move away from it, right? We've got more stuff as well here. So this one comes from Kamala HQ, where JD Vance says teachers who don't have biological children disorient and really disturb him, apparently. Let's take a listen.
And I think our conservative idea is that parents and families should determine what children learn, what values they are brought up with. You know, so many of the leaders of the left.
So parents should be the only ones in charge of the values that children grow up with. I disagree with this one. If I had grown up only with the values of the parent who raised me, then I would have actually grown up to be a racist. Eventually, the parent who instilled those particular beliefs in me did not have those beliefs later in life, but once upon a time, they did. If I grew up with those beliefs, I would be a young earth creationist, I would be a racist, and I would be a very conservative shitlord idiot at this point. Those are the values that I would have based on my upbringing. Period. I think that the fact that I had other influences in my life that were able to move me away from that, quite frankly, self-destructive mental path is a good thing, actually. And I think most people can agree with that. The idea that the only people who should have a say in their kids' ideology is the parents is an idea built on the very naive idea that parents always know best, or parents always have their kids' best interest at heart. Unfortunately, they don't. There are just as many parents who are well-meaning as there are parents who instead are abusive assholes. whether it be physically abusive or verbally abusive or happen to be, say, anti-homosexual and their kid turns out to be gay. There's enough instances of that I do not believe. And I believe it is, in fact, naive to believe for even a moment that the only people who should have any influence in your kid's upbringing are the parents involved. The parents are not experts in every field that they speak on. The parents are not experts in emotional IQ. The parents are not experts in homosexuality or even teen dating. The parents are not experts in all of these things. They have a capacity for experience, and I can respect that capacity. That's about as far as I can go.
And I hate to be so personal about this, but there are people without kids trying to brainwash the minds of our children. And that really disorients me and it really disturbs me. Randy Weingarten.
So the statement there is there are people without kids trying to brainwash our children, and that really disorients and disturbs me. So he's talking about teachers right there. So teachers who don't have kids, so teachers who instead decided to dedicate their lives to enriching the lives of children who aren't theirs, but are still just as important to them, apparently that is not enough for JD Vance. It disorients him and disturbs him that anybody but him might care about the education and well-being of his children. We'll go to the last bit of that.
Teachers union in the country. She doesn't have a single child. If she wants to brainwash and destroy the minds of children, she should have some of her own and leave ours the hell alone.
All right. So again, how do you expect a teacher to teach your child without having some kind of influence on the child's ideology? How do you expect that to work, JD? That feels like an impossibility. That feels like something that quite literally will not and cannot happen. Anytime you're like, oh, I just want my kid to learn English and history and math from the teachers. Okay, cool. So when the teachers start talking about history and your student comes away going, oh, wow, the smallpox blankets that we did to the American natives was really screwed up, Dad. And you go, no, you're being poisoned with anti-American woke ideology. No, you're just being taught history, my guy. I'm sorry. This idea that somebody can be around your child for 8 hours a day and somehow not have a profound influence on their upbringing is mind-bogglingly naive to me. The only world in which this works, by the way, is a world where parents are the only influence on their child, where teachers don't exist where the kids are concerned anymore. You know, almost like a world where only homeschooling and private schooling exists. A world that JD Vance actively fights for, because that is a world that is advocated by the architects of Project 2025. But, you know, just fun stuff. Just fun stuff. Also, we have another bit here. More stuff from Kamala HQ, where Vance says, I think Kamala Harris's tone is ridiculous by saying there are extremely serious consequences. Okay, let's look at the quote.
Yeah, no, look, I think her tone is ridiculous in her speech. There are extremely serious consequences to voting for Donald Trump. I don't think that's persuasive to most Americans, and warning them about voting.
Yes, I don't think it's persuasive to warn most Americans that the fascist is the other option. You know, that entire political campaign that worked for Biden, one of the most unelectable people we ever put in front of a teleprompter, managed to successfully run his entire campaign on the idea that Donald Trump sucks and he sucks less. I don't get it. JD Vance, I don't get it. You're playing defense. You have to be playing defense. But this is not a position of any type of informed person.
For the wrong person is just, I think it's ridiculous. Criticize his policies, criticize what I want to do, criticize what Donald Trump wants to do. But this whole, like, wag your finger and warn you of extremely serious consequences.
Have you ever thought, JD Vance, that maybe, possibly, the extremely serious consequences are the policies? Have you thought that the policies of Donald Trump may be the extremely serious consequences to which Kamala Harris is talking about? Has that idea occurred to you? Just a little bit? Also, Ravi, thank you for resubscribing. I appreciate it. Did I come at the right or wrong time? You came at the right time. Anytime you come in is the right time, but for lots of reasons. Also, a quick segue, real quick, before I get any further. Again, stream is currently sponsored by HelloFresh for anybody who would like to support the stream. ! HelloFresh will give you access to their entire library of stuff. that you will be able to get food-wise. It saves you a trip to the grocery store, and it saves me a trip to the loan shark. Speaking of that, on top of that, one other quick plug real quick, if I may. I do have a PayPal pull up to try to help with some of the debts that I've incurred over the years. And anybody who donates to that PayPal pool, if you can do me a huge favor and send me a voice work project that you would like me to do, anything that you would like my voice lent to, then I will gladly do that. That way you are getting something out of it. I'm getting more experience doing voice acting stuff and all of that other fun bits. That said, plugs over. Context for Ravalern. The bit about teachers, JD Vance said that he doesn't think that people who don't have kids should have any influence on other people's kids in relation to teachers. He thinks that teachers are, childless teachers are brainwashing children. That's the angle that he was going for. And Razor, thank you very much for resubscribing at tier 3. I appreciate it. The problem that I had with that angle is that it doesn't make any sense. You can't have somebody involved in your child's life for 6 to 8 hours a day and then not have a profound influence on how that child turns out. That's an unrealistic expectation. Also, teaching certain things like philosophy or history or even fucking American literature will naturally influence a child's ideology greatly. Right? Like, those are things that will have an inevitable outcome on how that child perceives the world around them, because anything that isn't just like, yes, the chemistry says this and the mathematics says this, but even those subjects, if we start talking about chemistry or just biology, now suddenly a parent can say, I don't want you influencing my kid with that evolution ideology, but it's not an ideology, that's just fucking science. Again, it's the idea that it is naive and stupid from the position of someone like JD Vance to say, no, teachers should have no influence on the lives of these kids for brainwashing them. He can't even define what brainwashing them looks like. To him, brainwashing a kid is teaching them that it's okay for someone to be gay. That's brainwashing to him.
I feel like she sounds like a vice principal who's criticizing a student and not a vice president who's trying to lead the country. I just don't like the tone.
I just don't like the tone. Yes, the tone. The tone. Let's just tone police the uppity Kamala Harris. That's what JD Vance is trying to do. There's one more that I want to go into. Maybe let's look at some of the more human side of JD Vance. Let's see how he seems when he's just out and about doing normal human things. You know, like being in a full suit ordering pastries.
The zoo has come to town. Thank you for letting us come in here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm sorry, man. Okay, yeah.
What is this weird shit where everybody is just standing around watching him order a pastry? Do you know how uncomfortable this situation would be? Do you know how weird it would be just having a whole fucking camera crew recording this? I don't know how I would feel about this, like, at all.
She doesn't want to be on film, guys, so just cut her out of anything. Appreciate that, man. I'm JD Vance. I'm running for vice president. Good to see you.
Okay.
How long are you working?
I've been here since the beginning of July.
Okay.
For this year.
Okay, good. How about you, sir?
Almost 2 years.
In Inagami the Hound, thank you very much for rating. What were you doing over on your stream? Also, can we get a shout out for Inagami as well? Anybody who has mod status and can do so. Comrade Girl says, oh yeah, this video was cringe. I did, you dork. Hey, I was looking this way, not that way, okay? I appreciate it, Red Joker. I appreciate it. But let's see here.
Okay.
For this year.
Okay, good. How about you, sir?
Almost 2 years.
Okay, good. Just everything, yeah. I mean, a lot of glazed here, some sprinkle stuff, some of these cinnamon rolls, just whatever makes sense. How long has this place been around?
Whatever makes sense. I'm sorry, that's not how you order pastries. You just tell them what you want. A bunch of glazed stuff, some cinnamon rolls, maybe, some sprinkles, anything that makes sense. I'm not doing this to eat any of this shit. I'm just doing this to get a photo op. That's all. Like, God, he doesn't even seem human.
About 4 years.
About 4 years? Okay. How long have you been here?
A little over 6 months.
Okay, good. The zoo.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, good. I feel like this is just not human interaction. This is what happens when somebody who has no actual care for the work that you're doing is trying to pretend to care because cameras are on him. Right? Yeah, also, does he have any glazed couches? Do you have any glazed couches? Do you have any glazed couches? You know. So why is he asking how long they worked there? And because he's got to feign that he cares about them. That's why. It's what happens when corporate tells you to pretend you care about something that a customer says, right? You're having to pretend to be buddy-buddy with everybody in the room there. It's very cringy because it's fake. You can tell that he doesn't give a shit about anybody who is actually a working class person. It's not a normal thing to go into a store and single out every single employee and ask them how long they've worked there. Agamotto says, no, he glazes the couches. You're right. Couchacy is very important to JD Vance. Robert says, alleged couch fucker is not a real boy. He's vat grown. If only somebody had used a vat when trying to take out Donald Trump. You know, the VAT system would help a lot with the aim there, regardless of what weapon was used. Just saying, they would have been able to see the actual percentage chance of clipping something other than his ear and making him look like a freaking Pokemon. Something Fishy says, still side-eyeing over that "the zoo is in town" comment, like he thought he was being slick. I think he was just trying to say that in regards to like his camera crew being in. That was like the one human thing from that interaction. But I think with all of this, I can kind of get the feeling that JD Vance is a bridge troll. He's not a very convincing human being. He feels like an alien trying desperately to seem more human. And by human, I mean he's trying to seem more hip with the working class, which doesn't work very well. So, like, as an example, if I go into a Walmart and I see that somebody's having a messed up day as a cashier or a stalker, I won't sit there and go, yes, I understand how you feel. What I'll do is I'll give my actual personal experience. So I'll go, hey, are you all right? I know this place can be kind of a shithole. I used to work in Department 82. I understand where you're coming from. I used to move a lot of these pallets myself. I get it. I understand what you're dealing with. Is there anything I can do to help? Like, anything I can do to make your day better? Like, that goes far longer because that doesn't seem fake, right? That's somebody telling you, oh, here's this thing that only another Walmart employee would understand. This person knows where I'm coming from. And the answer to can I help is almost always no, you can't really help, but I appreciate that. But it's sitting down and actually coming at it as if you are a peer with the person, which you are. Let's be fucking honest. You're working class, I'm working class. We are all sitting here in the lower rung of society trying to make ends meet. People will respond way better to actual sincerity in these kind of situations than they'll respond to this fake, like, how long have you worked here? Okay, good. I'm glad you've worked here for 4 months. I have cares for that for some reason. That is something that I seem, that is something that actually means something to me. Like, let me go ahead and give him maybe a little bit of coaching advice to JD Vance right here in the situation. When you come in, hey, just letting you know, I've got a camera crew in. Is it okay if they come inside? Okay, cool. I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me. I'm really trying to run for vice president right now. I don't want to get into politics at the moment. It's not really important for your job, but you know, they do want to show me doing other things that I'm doing. How long have you worked here, by the way? Just curious. I've been doing politics for like 3 or 4 years. What about you? Oh, 4 months? Oh, okay, you've not been there that long. How do you feel about the job so far? It looks like it's a decently enjoyable job, but I don't know. It's not something I've personally done. Are there any hurdles that you generally have to deal with? Like, what's the, you know what? What's the worst part about your job? Go ahead and let me know. Go ahead and complain to me. It's entirely okay if you want it cut out of the camera feed. I'm a-okay with that, but I do want to know, like, what's the worst part about your day, and what would make that better? What could you do to make that part better? Oh, it's the customers. Oh, well, I'm sorry. If you need me to get out of your hair, like, I'm perfectly willing to do that, but I want to get some of these pastries first, if that's okay. Like, that interaction right there is probably 10 billion times more human, and I made it the fuck up from the beginning. Said, damn, sir, it's making me feel good just to hear these words, not just me, but they're good words. Well, I'm glad about that. Like, that's the idea, though, is that when you have somebody like that who is... When you're a politician like J.D. Vance, you're not working class anymore. You've moved outside of the working class. So maybe it's kind of hard for him to understand what a working class person feels. But the one thing that most working class people want to feel when you sit down at their workplace is like a goddamn human. They want to feel like a fucking human. They want to feel like a person. They want to feel like something that they say or do matters. Especially when you're working a job at a pastry shop, a job at retail, a job at any kind of shop that can be considered a dead-end job for someone. The idea of a dead-end job is mostly a mental thing, but if it feels like a dead-end job to the person, then the one thing they want to feel is like their day matters in some way, shape, or form. They want to feel like a human, not like a cog in a machine. Sen of the Red Sugar says it makes you feel more human. It was my mistake getting trained on it in the first place. Fair. Jassa says, Kamala worked at McDonald's. JD Vance has grown up, not Trump wealthy, but not struggling or working. Yeah. So, like, for me, the idea of growing up without having an anxiety attack over money, without having a mental breakdown over money, is alien to me, because I haven't felt that in a very long time. There was only one segment in my life where I ever felt like I was perfectly comfortable monetarily. To a degree, I felt that way on my channel once when it was making a decent bid for a singular year, but that wasn't really super good financial stability because I still couldn't afford things like health insurance. Then the only time that I think I've been fully financially stable in my own mind was when I was a manager at Quick Trip. That was a $40,000 a year job along with benefits on top of that. So benefits, I could, get any kind of medical help that I needed. I had a 401k, I had a retirement plan, I had stock matching, like all of that stuff only because I was working at Quick Trip. That was the one time that I actually felt like perfectly financially stable, but I haven't really felt that since then. I may feel happier overall being a content creator, but stability isn't a thing that I've known for a very long time. That's why I've got that whole PayPal pool thing up. That's why I've got a Patreon for people who want to support me on Patreon. That's why I make fun of JD Vance, because he doesn't have to worry about those kinds of things. He doesn't go home and wonder whether or not his credit card bill is going to be lauded over his head. He doesn't have to shuffle his bills around in order to get certain things paid. He doesn't have to do any of that shit. He doesn't know what it's like to do that shit. Anyway, I guess the only thing I can do here is say thank you for watching. Hit the like button if you haven't already. I think there's nothing more that can be said about JD Vance here. If you want to go ahead and support the channel, one of the best ways you can do so is right up there with that HelloFresh link. That will help out the channel a fuck ton. But on top of that, the PayPal pool is there. If you have voice acting stuff that you want me to do, please feel free to request anything that you want me to do and send something in the PayPal pool for me to do it, and I will do it. That all said, thank you all for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, everybody, insert end of video tagline here. Hey, just wanted to give a quick thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who help keep me afloat and help keep this channel going. YouTube and Twitch are wonderful platforms, but at the end of the day, stability is not one of their strong suits. If you want to support my channel, then obviously Patreon is one of the best ways of doing that. Link is in the description. But I do want to personally thank everybody who has contributed to the channel. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Britzkrieg, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravalern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Autumn and Angel, Nixie Chan,
Mark Anthony, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that. Arcton Arclacier, Kiratorian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fireshard. And everyone else who supports my channel and lets me do what I do full time. This is a dream job of mine that I never believed that I would be able to take full time, and with your help, I've been able to do it. So thank you so very much for that. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you all enjoy, and I hope you all are having a wonderful time. I will see you all in the next one, hopefully.